Okay, we're on to the next video, line 17C, pi letter circumference, circle irrational number WOW SETI. This is part 81, based on the math equation 14.1.1.13.2.1 found on line 17 of the WOW SETI 1977 alien radio signal. Okay, so here's the pi letter. Circumference is C, D is diameter. The circumference of a circle is slightly more than 3 times as long as its diameter. That's exact. The exact ratio is called pi. And there's some information from Wiki. Werner wrote, "We can conclude that although the ancient Egyptians could not precisely define the value of pi, in practice they used it. Petrie, author of Pyramids and Temples of Giza, concluded that these relations of areas and of circular ratio are so systematic that we should grant that they were in the builders' designs." Okay. The early history of pi from textual sources roughly parallels the development of mathematics as a whole. Pi is an irrational number, which means that its value cannot be expressed exactly as a fraction having integers in both the numerator and denominator, unlike 22 divided by 7. Consequently, its decimal representation never ends and it never repeats. Pi is also a transcendental number, which implies, among other things, that no finite sequence of algebraic operations on integers, powers, roots, sums, etc. can render its value. Proving the fact was a significant mathematical achievement of the 19th century. Another word that comes up is Archimedes constant. I didn't look it up. And Ludolfine number, I didn't look that up either. Pi is equal to 3.14159.265. That's what it is rounded off, but it's actually a bigger number. And then I brought up the Greek alphabet when I was looking for a symbolism of pi. And we have A for alpha, B, beta, the next one's gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta. Hey, they got delta, theta, and alpha waves. Huh. ABC. Anyways. Okay, so that's the information there. There's the actual pi number there. That's how big it is. I thought that was cool. Variant pi or omega is a glyph. Variant of lowercase pi, sometimes used in technical contexts as though it were a lowercase omega with a macron. Though historically it is simply a cursive form of pi, with its legs bent inward to meet, it is used as a symbol for angular frequency of a wave. In fluid dynamics, angular frequency is usually represented by W, but this may be confused with vorticity in a fluid dynamics context. Longitude or pericenter in celestial mechanics. Co-moving distance in cosmology. And if you go to Wiki pi letter, you'll find it. Greek for pi, uppercase, lowercase, is the 16th letter of the Greek alphabet, representing P. In the system of Greek numerals, it has a value of 80. And the lowercase letter pi is used as a symbol for the mathematical transcendental and thus irrational constant pi equals 3.14159, the ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter in Euclidean geometry. The letter pi is the first letter of the Greek words periphery and perimeter, i.e. the circumference. The prime counting function in mathematics, and the elementary particle called the pi meson or pion. There's other things that it means. I'm just highlighting the ones that stuck out to me. A type of chemical bond with which the p orbitals overlap called a pi bond. The unary operation of projection in relational algebra. Pi irrationality and transcendence. The main article proof that pi is irrational. Pi is an irrational number, meaning that it cannot be written as the ratio of 2 integers. Pi is also a transcendental number, meaning that there is no polynomial with rational coefficients for which pi is a root. In mathematics, a rational number is any real number that cannot be expressed as a ratio a-b, where a and b are integers, with b non-zero and is therefore not a rational number. Informally, this means that a rational number cannot be representative as a simple fraction. Irrational numbers are those real numbers that cannot be represented as terminating or repeating decimals. As a consequence of Cantor's proof that the real numbers are uncountable and the rational is countable, it follows that almost all real numbers are irrational. When the ratio of lengths of two line segments is irrational, then the line segments are also described as being incommensurable, meaning they share no mean measure in common. Perhaps the best known irrational numbers are the ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter, pi, Euler's number e, the golden ratio, and the square root of 2. And that's on Wiki for irrational number. Okay? So we're going to go to my thoughts about all this. January 21st, 2012, 7:09 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I've always wondered how the pi factor worked. It's interesting that this comes up in the WOW SETI signal because you need to know how this works if you like to study the size of planets. In determining if a planet is habitable, size is one of the factors they look for in their data. Ancient Egyptians never defined pi, but they did use it in their calculations to build the various monuments all over the world. I put the Greek alphabet on here because I think I've seen some of its symbols on some of the crop circle pictures I've come across. I figure we can use it as a reference tool for the next series when we get around to it, and we can learn a bit about how symbols were so important to ancient civilizations. So that's it for 17C. The next one is going to be 17D, okay?